Hey, my cat loving friends. We finally got Stacy LeBaron on our podcast. We have been trying to get her forever. She has over 300 podcasts currently airing
500.
on 500. Did I said 500 podcasts currently airing on the Community Cats podcast. And she has dedicated a theme for 2024 that we are in love with. See it, solve it. So right after a word from our sponsor, we'll be back to find out more. Welcome back to 19 Cats and Counting. I'm your co-host, Linda Hall, here with the ever gorgeous, the ever lovely, my BFF, Rita Reimers.
I love the way you say my name because it's normally so plain. Rita Reimers.
Rita Reimers.
Rita
I told
Reimers.
you I'm into trilling those R's. It was my favorite thing about ninth grade Spanish. But I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to Stacy.
She's so mean. That's just my best friend, Stacy.
What does that say about your other friends?
I'm so glad we finally got you. You're a busy lady.
I try not to be so busy, but I guess I am.
Well, when it comes to cats, they take all our focus and attention when you work with cats in any way, shape, or form. But tell us what it is, you guys, what is in your heart and what is your mission with the Community Cats podcast?
Yeah, so I am the host of the Community Cats podcast, and the podcast is the place where you get to turn your passion for cats into action. That is what we are all about. So, many of our communities have, to be frank, too many cats that are outdoors running around, may have caretakers, may not, may have feeders, may not. Lots of kittens. And we want to be able to elevate the status of cats and empower people in the communities to make a difference in the lives of those cats, whether it's through an individual just doing TNR on 2, 3, 4 cats in their backyard, or an organization that creates a TNR program for their whole community, or building up even to something bigger like a spay-neuter clinic or a mobile spay-neuter clinic, really organically growing to be able to support the community holistically and ensure that really all of our cats in our communities have access to the care and the support that they need, the cats and their families that they need to be able to have a wonderful, happy life.
That's perfect.
That's what we all want, isn't it, Linda?
Yes. So Community Cats envelops ferals, strays. They're just the cats out in our community. I like that. That sounds better because people often have such a negative reaction when they hear one or both of those words. And it's different being a feral and a stray, but they're both homeless and outside, right? And we need to help them.
So I'm going to take it even to another level. So when I say community cats, I say 4 paws on the ground outside. So it can be an owned cat that's indoor, outdoor. It plays a role in that community cat ecosystem that is outside. So when I say community cats, I mean any cat that is outside.
Good point.
I also want to support the indoor cats because I have a story about Adam and Eve. And Adam's not neutered and lives inside. Eve is not spayed and she lives inside, and the families can't afford to get those cats spayed or neutered.
Yikes.
They are near community cats, right? They could easily become community cats. So you could almost talk me into saying community cats are pretty much any cat really that's out there.
I took in a stray many years ago, over 20 years ago, probably 30 now.
Oh, boo-boo, right?
And he was on the schedule to get neutered because I was going to take him to the shelter, right? And that didn't happen. So finally we get him on the schedule to be neutered. And the night before, he broke out my screen. He smelled him some female.
He took out his little finger switchblade and went.
That's what I said. That's what my husband said. He went no, out. And we found him the next morning beat up to death by a raccoon. We managed to get him healed, but it was just, we were so close. And it scares me to death to wonder if he impregnated a cat out there and how many little boo-boos were running around from that.
Not just that, but he could have come home with any kind of diseases
also. Oh, for sure. Yes. I mean, I've got a cat that was trapped with a feral colony that was obviously had been in someone's home at one point. And he wasn't neutered and he was very friendly. And he ended up with FIV.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, a lot of cats, outdoor cats, male, cats outside have a higher prevalence towards getting FIV, but it really honestly is it's pretty small percentage. And then feline leukemia, it's even smaller. It's like 2 to 3% for
That's
feline
good to know.
leukemia. For males, it's 5 to 7% for FIV. Females, it's a much lower number for FIV. So, I mean, when you're talking about disease and community cats, really overpopulation is the disease that's most impactful. The other diseases are going to really be practically eliminated once you get your what we call our feral cat colonies or community cat colonies or just our free roaming cats, get them all spayed or neutered, reduce or eliminate kittens, create a kitten free zone, take care of those adult cats. The colony's going to, attrition down in numbers and it will fade away, and then you're not going to have those cats, and it's all a beautiful thing.
And Linda, what is it you always say about the TNR? People that don't understand it or don't believe in it. I mean, people who don't like cats should also be.
Oh, I was just about to say that. You took that right out of my head. You freak me out when you do that. If you love cats, you should care about TNR. Because these cats are out there suffering, fleas alone, they're going to get fleas and they'll end up anemic. They can have all kinds of health problems. They can die from fleas. If you love cats, you should care about this. If you hate cats, you should care about this. You don't like all those strays and ferals and community cats in your yard and walking on your brand new car? TNR is your friend, my friend. Wherever you stand on cats, this should be of interest to you.
Right. Trap, neuter, and return is the most effective way to reduce cat overpopulation. And I think it's unfortunate that many people believe that it's not proven to be successful. I worked with an organization in Massachusetts, and we had 300 cats with 14 different feeding stations. We started feeding them in 1992. So that's going to share with you a little bit about my age. And then by 2008, we had volunteers feeding those cats twice a day. We trapped them, we TNR'd them. We got to 100% sterilization. I'm going to repeat that. It's important to get to 100% sterilization of those cats. 2008, last cat from the group of colonies passed away. Last feeding station was closed in like 2010. And now, Newburyport does not have the population, the cat issues that it had when it started out in 1990. A whole litter of kittens tested positive for rabies. A group of cats were trapped, removed, and euthanized living out of a dumpster. 35 cats. By 1992, another 35 cats were there. So trap and remove and euthanize does not work. TNR, and it's community based. You can't trap, neuter, return, walk away. It's community based, community involved. There's due diligence. It's, the love continues all the time. So it's not like you can say, I'm going to hire someone to take care of this problem, one and done. You've just got to always be there. And now that we have supportive access to care for owned cats in the community, that's why we don't have feral cats or community cats roaming around in our towns, because people have access to the care that they need for their cats. Their families are happy, their cats are happy, and we're doing what we need to do to keep them in homes.
And that's what we need. Trying to get in. You mentioned when we were talking earlier, there's a huge vet shortage out there. And I was sharing that I had an escapee. And so I set out a trap and I caught a feral kitten who was like the Tasmanian devil. And I called the 2 facilities in my town and nobody could take them. And I had to release him again. I mean, I did not have.
He was too mean. There was no way to tame him.
Yeah, I did not have the space or ability to take in. He was completely feral. He was completely petrified. He'd have lost his mind. I needed some place to take him, got him or her. I don't know. I didn't look. Take him or her and get them sterilized so that I could re-release. And there wasn't.
But you have taken a couple of cats in, so have I, that were outside. Potential baby makers. But what has happened in your community since is the little town of Defiance you live in now has a TNR program. And I don't even know if Lancaster here has it. I don't think we have a TNR program. We're so small.
So many don't.
I was just interviewing a woman from Idaho, Garden City, Idaho, yesterday for the podcast, Donna Brown, and it's Garden City Community Cat Project. Boy, and they're doing a phenomenal job. So they have spayed and neutered over 1,000 cats. It's it's a small community, but she works with the mobile home parks, the trailer parks, and
those are magnets for.
But she's very people to people oriented.
Mm-hmm.
She's like the support that we provide is to the people in the trailer park. They're the ones doing the trapping, they're doing the feeding, they're doing the monitoring, and she's helping to provide the support. But she's like, I'm very people oriented. A lot of folks in the cat world say, oh, I'm here because I don't like people. I just want to,
You've got to be both. You've got to be both.
And she's like, no, my job is all about the people. It's all about the families, and they're crying, and they're caring for the cats, and they're getting, the help that they need. She said she went into one, trailer, and there were, dead kittens under the trailer. And she goes, they were crying with the fact that she's able to get these cats spayed or neutered. They're not going to see that ever again, and there are these aha moments. We all have. You have an aha moment, where it's like you see something and you're like, not having that. I'm not going to do that again. That's just not right. It's just not going to happen. And that's where that see it, solve it theme is all about, is like, you see something and you're like, yeah, we're going to fix this. We have to create solutions, whether it's a small solution just for my backyard, or it's a solution for the whole community, or, hey, whole metropolitan area, go for it. But let's motivate and move forward. TNR needs to be normalized. Trap, neuter, return, normalized every day. Private practice veterinarians, spay, neuter clinics, everybody should be providing trap, neuter, return services. I'm involved with a clinic in Woodstock, Georgia, that has a community cat TNR room in the back, where folks can bring the cats and the traps at night. And then they're held there, spayed and neutered, and they pick them up at the end of the day. There's a code, so they don't even have to be there when the clinic is open to do the drop off and the pickup. It's a private practice clinic, and I'm thrilled I'm involved in it, part of the management team. And it's just, I'm so excited about this model of having private practice veterinarians, feline only practices, really embrace all the components that our cats need.
100%.
Oh my gosh. Both Linda and I have cats that came from trailer parks. And like you were saying, after you TNR, you can't just walk away, but especially in a trailer park, because that's a prime dumping ground. People will go and dump their cats.
My son-in-law lived in one for less. Son-in-law and daughter lived in one for less than a year and took in 10 cats, plus the ones they were feeding on their porch.
Right. Well, there's a lot of population turnover also. And the other thing with the veterinary shortage that makes things very challenging is we're oftentimes limited to a certain number of appointments. So you talk about feeding 10 cats in your backyard, and a veterinarian is saying, well, you can get 2 appointments and then call us 4 months later and we'll get 2 more appointments. That's just not going to move the needle. So we need to think about targeted efforts where we're really handling the whole colony. And that's, again, getting to that 100% sterilization. That is so important. And there's a lot of campaigns out there. I'm on the board of the United Spay Alliance, really trying to work with creating systems and efficiencies for spay, neuter, feline fixed by 5. It's much easier to spay, neuter a little kitten than it is, a cat that's had a litter of kittens and that's older. So let's save time and be efficient so that we can do a higher volume.
Definitely. They fix some of those kittens so young these days. How safe is that?
Very safe, actually. I mean, 2 pounds. 8 weeks, 2 pounds is about the smallest.
The minimal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the MSPCA in 1989 actually did a pretty significant study around this issue with regards to early age spay neuter for cats. We're going to just talk about cats here. And actually, so when the Merrimack River Feline Rescue Society got started in 1992. That was one of our bedrock. We had 2 veterinarians just starting their practices, and they both really wanted to know how to do early age spay neuter. So they did that everybody was neuter before adoption, and they were doing them at 8 weeks or 2 pounds. And it's very safe. I mean, if you've ever seen kittens get spayed or neutered, they'll have the surgery and they're probably beating each other up in the cage when they're in within a couple of hours. It's so easy. The incision it's a little glue. It's not even stitches. There's no e-collar. There's nothing involved with that. So, it's just so much easier than
Nice.
a mom cat who's been in and out of heat and,
Yes, yes,
has had
yes.
a litter of kittens and all that kind of stuff. And,
Yeah.
and then you get to a 5-year or older cat. And then, I hate to be so blunt, but the uterus is almost fibrous. So like you run the risk of not getting the full uterus
Mhm.
removed
We've seen
because
that happen.
You see, this is good to know because I thought, the little ones, I thought it was more dangerous when they're like 2 months old. The law here in Carolina is you can't adopt out a kitten that's not spayed or neutered, and everybody wants those tiny babies, so they're doing spay and neuter at about 8 weeks. So it's good to know that's safer than I thought.
Yeah,
Oh.
I just wondered how, especially with the girl, not as much with the boys, but with the girls, how teeny tiny those little female parts are. I mean, I had a hysterectomy. I know what's involved.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how do they spot those things? They're so small.
So actually, I would probably say the girls are maybe easier too, because sometimes the boys' testicles haven't descended yet.
Right.
And so you sometimes have to wait for them to be a little bit older because, if you do wait and they don't descend, then they have to go traveling around and look for them. But that's they'll wait until the boy's a little older to see what will happen,
Yeah. My vet likes to wait. I have a male kitten that's, I guess he's going on 5 months now. So this is about the time he wants me to bring him in. I brought him in for a 3-month check, and he's like, since you don't have any females and he's indoor, can you just wait a little bit? So he really wanted me to wait. I'm trying to honor 6 by 5 though. I want to get him in there.
I appreciate that very much. And the last thing you want is him to start spraying around the outside of your house. The inside of your house.
Did you overhear our conversation? Yeah.
And he's a little devil too. I wouldn't put it past him.
We just had this conversation. She's like, gotta get this done before he starts spraying. So we know that struggle.
I know. Let's take a quick break here for a little word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back to talk more with Stacy LeBaron about TNR and all the wonderful things that Community Cats podcast is doing. We'll be right back. And we're back with 19 Cats and Counting. I caught you taking that drink, Linda Hall.
Quick.
We're talking with Stacy about all the wonderful things Community Cats podcast is doing. Tell us about some of the programs that you offer. I know Linda and I took a class from Community Cats podcast to become surrender prevention specialists.
Right. So I'm going to take a deep breath.
Put on your listening ears, folks.
So we do 29 online events every year now. And so they run from a TNR certification workshop, which is the first Saturday of every month. We have the surrender prevention certification workshop, which you took, which has Dr. Rachel Geller.
We love her.
And that happens 3 times a year. We have a new session called Return to Home certification.
I want to know about this one.
And that is going to be about how when you take in a stray, you're able to identify whether or not that cat has a home. Mm-hmm. So many return to owner statistics for cats from shelters is really pretty low. 3%, 5%, maybe 7%. Corinne Bourgogne from the Massachusetts Society of Prevention to Cruelty for Animals has a program, and they have a 30 to 35% return rate to owners.
Is that due to chipping or lack thereof?
So there's microchipping, there's social media. She has these like 3 different levels of research that you go through in order to be able to find the home for the cat. And another component too in there, we talk about like if you think you found a cat in the Community Cats podcast, we have a template for a paper collar. Most organizations in Massachusetts will say, put a paper collar on the cat, put your name on it, your number on it, does somebody own me? And before you can let that cat come into the shelter, we do that level of due diligence to make sure that cat does not have another caretaker or have an owner to be identified to be able to make sure, because we don't want to be accused of stealing anybody's cat.
Of course not.
We don't want to do that. So that's really a recommended template that we have. We have our online kitten conference We have our online cat conference. We have Feline Leukemia Day. July has been declared Feline Leukemia Month.
Oh, that's good to know.
Online Behavior Day is going to be in April next year.
That's good to know too, since we're cat behaviorists. Write that down, Linda.
April 20th is going to be Online Behavior Day. And then we have your United Spay Alliance Conference. And boy, I know I'm forgetting something, but we always have like pop-up webinars and stuff. I did a webinar on strategies to reduce your cat overpopulation. I love talking about the cat pyramid and trying to think strategically about how to reduce,
that
your
pyramid
cat numbers.
blows people's minds.
And we do have that. If you really want to be about the pyramid, you can buy it in our swag shop. We have t-shirts with the community cat pyramid, and I have my Stay Feral shirt on here.
Show us your shirt. Show us your shirt.
Okay.
I know
I just ordered a mug.
Can't hear it, but yes.
So I'm going to stand
look
up.
At this.
Ooh,
Look
yes.
At
when you're watching
Feral.
the video version, you'll see that is
I
cool.
am so getting one of these, which y'all, Christmas is coming and cat ladies, we love our cat stuff, right? We can be difficult to buy for, but
where do people get this awesome stuff? What's the website?
So it's communitycatspodcast.com, and we have our store is on the website right there. We're loaded with lots of information, lots of stuff. Also, if folks are interested in being part of all 29 events and don't want to deal with like the registration, dealing with it every time, we have what's called a Community Cats Pass.
I saw that. That's so cool.
Yeah. So it's basically, you can buy the pass, and then you're just, if I add something, you're included no matter what. You're guaranteed access to anything and everything that we put on during the course of the year. Oh, and we do have our Community Cats Grants program, which we just finished I
saw that too.
200th group. And so we've worked with over 200 organizations. Yay. And I'm really proud of that program. It's been incredible. Bree, who works with us here at the podcast, has done an incredible job with the Community Cat Grant program. And another thing, to empower organizations to be able to make change in their communities. And that's through a matching grant program. And so we're really just excited and thrilled about that.
So if your city like mine, I don't think we've got a TNR program. I've got to check a little more deeply. If you're interested in starting one, this is where you go.
Yes.
Yep. I'd be happy to help anybody get a TNR or spay neuter initiative going. I'm a great problem solver. I love solving problems, and other people say I'm pretty much of an optimist all the time. So
that's good. You've got to be in this business, because it can run you over. Well, business. It's not really a business. But it can run you over with the compassion fatigue and everything. No, I know Linda and our organization, Cat Behavior Alliance, and the Carolina Cat Sanctuary, we would definitely be interested in the spay and neuter program. It's one of the things we want to add as we collect more donations, is we want to help people who can't afford spay and neuter to get that done. That's so important. Even if your cats don't go outside.
Yeah. On our form to fill out when you want a behavior, it's, name of the cat, gender, age, and spayed or neutered. And so we always try to be non-judgmental in case there's something like Rita had a cat that had CFE heart problem and could not ventral septal defect. I was so close.
My book is all about Sadie.
Yes. And so she couldn't be spayed. So we don't want to just be like, why isn't that cat spayed? But we're like, so is there a reason the cat's not spayed? And we've heard, I just can't afford it.
A few times we've done behavior sessions and people are like, well, it's $400 in my area, which is crazy. So that's another issue too, is pricing. In different areas of the country, I can get a spay neuter done here between $59 and $79. You go to LA, it's going to be $300-400, and I don't see why.
It was $250 to spay the stray that popped up in my backyard.
That's crazy.
That's what it cost us to take care of. So she showed up in the backyard, and she was a black cat. So I was like, "Come on in." What the heck?
It'll be way under $100 for me to get jet neutered. Why is that, Stacy? There's probably no answer.
Oh, there it is.
Why is there
such a price disparity? Why in some areas that people legitimately can't afford it because it's so expensive?
Yeah, well, I mean, so the salaries for veterinarians has gone up substantially over the last several years because of the shortage, as well as the technicians. And I mean, I think that our technicians and our vet assistants have been underpaid in general.
Yeah.
So they want to elevate the status. With the fact of a lot of the mom and pop veterinary practices selling to corporate, then there's a private equity need for profits on the backside of the P&L, profit and loss, that are involved there. So regardless of where they're located, they've got certain pricing. Say they own 10 clinics, they want to have some consistency. So and there's a certain cut that they want to make sure that they take for their, profits for their investors, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's one of those things where I truly think that the model has to change, because we have there's the very expensive, and like in a cat only model, most of our cat only clinics are like feline boutiques, right? So
we only have one here in the Charlotte area.
They're in that like higher level.
They're very expensive.
And then you've got your high volume, high quality spay neuter clinics, and they get grant money and they run their programs, in a certain way. And I think that there's like the mid-level, sort of like the middle income spay neuter for cats, right? You need like that mid-level range covered. And then there's what's called incremental care. So there's conversations. So you come in with your cat and you have a conversation with your vet technician and the vet, and they say, what works for your family price wise, what works for the cat. It's not all going to be the gold standard, but it's not just this package.
Right.
So if your cat needs a dental, this clinic could provide a dental. So it's talking about incremental care, working with the family, working with the cat, obviously. And it's just a partnership rather than this like, oh, we only offer this and you have to do this and it's $5,000 and you have to go credit care and whatever, and versus, or you have the choice of it's, $60 over here and it has nothing to do with a dental or anything. Right. And so there's this mid-level, which we just are missing out totally. And this is where the most cat owners are happening. Cat ownership is growing, and this is the market that we need to serve. And so, this project that I'm involved with in Woodstock, Georgia, that's what I'm working on, trying to provide that level of service.
That is amazing. I bragged about Defiance having a TNR, but there's a negative in Defiance, and I'm wondering if other communities are doing this. It's now illegal to feed strays and ferals in your yard in Defiance, Ohio.
I know it was in Beverly Hills too. When I lived in LA, there was this old lady that was feeding them and she got arrested.
Well, and there have been quite a few stories about feeding bans, and there's a lot of information out there that really shows that, feeding bans aren't very helpful to the cause at all, and supportive. There's got to be a reason why. Many times those are initiated because there is somebody that hasn't been listening to requests, and they've been, scatter feeding, what I call scatter feeding. They throw food like on the sidewalk or something like that.
I see.
And, there are certain there's feeding etiquette for our community cats out there. And we do have a webinar called Colony Caretaking Tips and Tricks that we do in partnership with Neighborhood Cats, which will basically show you how to manage and maintain, feeding outdoor cats in a way that
I want to take that.
Not going to cause a stir. Well, so we have a playlist on YouTube called Everything TNR playlist on our YouTube channel, Community Cats Podcast YouTube channel. Just search for it and subscribe. But one of our playlists is Everything TNR, and the Colony Caretaking Tips and Tricks is there. And I believe we're going to do a new live session on November 11th. So, that may come out around this time. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I understand the problem. My daughter was living in a house. It was like basically a duplex, and the lady behind her was feeding the cats. And she had turned her kids' swing set because they were grown now. She'd put tarps over it to give it shelter because we're in Ohio. It's a little chilly here, like it is in Massachusetts. And she was feeding them. She was definitely below poverty level. So she couldn't afford to take the cats and get them TNR. And it did. It created a huge colony.
Babies and babies.
There's a park across the street. Bad things were happening. You saw cats in various states of health problems.
No. La.
They were out in the streets. It was bad. I get it. I get that her feeding created this, but I also can't let cats starve. So if anybody from the council's listening, I have fed the ferals in my backyard, and I will continue to do so.
You also took two
Jail
of
me.
them in. Though.
Yes, I did. Yep. I do what I can, but I'm at my limit at 11. And so I'm a rule breaker.
Well, one of the things that we really try to focus on when I'm talking with folks is I will say, really the objective is to fix before you feed. And also if you do have support for pet food in your community, go take advantage of that resource for your cats. And then the money you would have put into buying the food, put it in a coffee jar, save it up for the medical care for the cats, because the resources, I find pet food resources are a little bit more liberal than the resources are for medical care for spay neuter. So,
right.
Be proactive, try and utilize, they're like, oh, well, I can buy food. I'm okay. I can do that. Well, use the resources and the access to that free food, save the money for your medical fund, and keep that there for your cats.
That is brilliant. I'm so glad I asked.
Idea.
I just
texted Linda. You got to do a PSA about that.
Yes, I will. I definitely will. That is brilliant.
Big credit to Stacy for giving us that.
Yes. Our shelters are full, and the cats that keep visiting my backyard at night are definitely spayed and neutered. They're all ear tipped, but they're hungry. Can't help myself. I can't watch an animal starve. It is physically impossible. I know that. Go to jail.
I know this isn't food related, but Linda planted some catnip in her backyard a few years ago. And she said to her husband, there's been a lot more cats in the backyard this year. There's a lot more strays out there. And what did he say, Linda?
He said, okay, you planted the weed farm and our surprise Cheech and Chong showed up. What's wrong with you? But I can't do it inside because they eat it. So I had to do it outside. And then, I'm sitting on the backyard like, where are all these cats coming from? Oops.
I know we're coming to the end of our show, and I know we could just keep talking forever and ever. But Stacy, is there anything you haven't said or any last words of wisdom you want to make sure that everybody gets the benefit of?
I certainly want to thank everyone who's out there helping cats and loving cats. And if you're listening to the show, I know that is the case for you. So thank you to your listeners for tuning in, listening. And, if there's ever anything, communitycatspodcast.com is the place to be. If you shoot us an email, I get all the emails. We're very responsive. Happy to answer any questions. There's really no excuses. It's see it, solve it. We can make it happen. We can make TNR normal, the everyday action that we're going to do. TNR, we'll make it happen. Just join the cause, do your part. And again, thank you both so much for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for coming.
Your schedule. So listen to the podcast, check out the website. There's blogs, check out YouTube. There's something out there that I'll bet if you're looking for, I'll bet you'll find it.
Yep. And don't forget to subscribe to their podcast, Community Cats Podcasts, which is awesome. And check out their programs too. Learn more about TNR and the other things that are available on Stacy's website. Follow them on YouTube like we do. There's lots of information out there. Get more involved. I love the see it and solve it motto, because a lot of people, they don't know what to do when they see something, so they don't do anything. Contact communitycats.com and you'll find your solutions. Thank you so much, Stacy, for having made the time to be on our show. We'd love to have you back anytime. And of course, Linda Hall, my BFF, ride or die forever.
You got it. Forever.
My work wife.
My husband does.
And I have to thank Mark Winter for giving us this awesome spot on Pet Life Radio and making us sound so good. And just remember, everyone, every day is Catter Day. We'll see you next time.